We want to thank you for coming out. This is the last campus talk of the spring semester. We've just got a couple of announcements here, and then I'm going to show you a quick video. Just quickly to remind you, Shelley Mail was not able to attend today, but she did want to pass on some news to everybody that there has been an approval of the new historic district on campus, and to let you know the buildings that are involved in that historic district. They include Old Main, Herring Hall, Ferguson Chapel, McAllister, the President's Home, Wingo Hall, McCaslin, and Bernard, and those are the buildings that make up the newly approved historic district of our campus. So that's good to know. Also, she wanted to remind everyone of the Night of Distinction is on April the 27th. That's currently on our webpage. You can click on that on the home page and get more information about our Night of Distinction. Also, a way to keep up with announcements of what's going on campus, wanted to point out that some things that have been happening on our YouTube page. Of course, we all know you can get to our YouTube page from the home page, just clicking on the button that says YouTube. Some of the latest videos that have been uploaded our Sound Off program, where students are interviewed about current cultural topics. The latest one is on their views and thoughts on reality TV. Our recent Break for Bears program that our police have put on, very successful. Sharon Daves, a UCA alum, was on our campus recently. She's got a great story, and her video is located there. And last but not least, the latest video that we've uploaded, we're going to show it to you right now. The students and faculty over the last 10 days have been helping out down at Mayflower concerning the oil spill down there. And we're going to play this video that we've made and say thank you to all of our faculty members and our students. We've had some grad students and some undergrad students who have volunteered over the past 10 days to help out down there. We've gotten a lot of media attention on that, and I wanted to remind you also that on our latest Bear Ledger, that I think that email goes out to everybody. You can also go to the search engine on our webpage, type in Bear Ledger, and it'll take you right to the latest version of it. You can see all the links to all the coverages that we've had and concerning our faculty and students that have participated in the cleanup and the rescue of animals down there at Mayflower due to this oil spill. And certainly a big thank you again to our biology department and the faculty members through there who literally have spent hours and hours and hours down there and have been a part of that. So you can always, excuse me, you can always catch up with those type of information, those type of stories on our Bear Ledger report. Let me go ahead and show you this video real quick.
Friday afternoon, well over 10,000 barrels of oil came spewing out of a ruptured Exxon pipeline, covering the streets and backyards of this Mayflower neighborhood.
Well, we were looking for affected wildlife that had been covered in oil or otherwise affected by the spill. And we were just assisting with Game and Fish and the other wildlife teams that were out there and just trying to identify areas where they could go recover them. They had put out a statement saying that they didn't want the general public trying to recover these animals due to obvious hazards, but we could definitely alert them to the whereabouts, and so that's what we did yesterday.
It means a lot to them to see what's going on. It's good for them. They're glad that they're not finding as many as say a strewn beach in a major oil spill in a coastal area. But on the other hand, the few birds that have been seen, I mean, it's very stark. It's obviously a devastating thing to see a bird that's covered in oil, especially because of the biology of birds, and that is that they require fluffy feathers to stay alive, to thermoregulate. So a mammal gets a slick oil on him or her, it's not good, but for a bird, it's almost sudden death. It's like undressing the bird in the cold.
Most of these animals had to be washed 3 and 4, sometimes 5 times before they were clean. And I mean, they're probably still not clean, but cleaner. And so in that time, you know, we're keeping them warm, making sure they have access to clean water, all that kind of thing. And so it's just a nonstop thing.
And watching them at work and their enthusiasm and their putting up with the cold and the wind and the rain is inspiring to me. And it's rewarding for me to see see that that's something that I just gave a little push to, and they have taken off and gone off and are doing the thing, especially students like Josh and Courtney and those that are going back and back and back again for more.
Okay. With that, we will hear from the three presidents, and we'll start with Spencer.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Oh my. I'm Spencer and I'm with SGA, and I just have a couple updates. First, and probably most importantly, is we have elections for our executive board members and our vice president and president positions, and those are coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So if you see students running around frantically handing out flyers and looking very tired, that might be why. They're working really hard and it's a very stressful time. So I'm excited to find out who's going to be taking over SGA next year. Also, on Tuesday, this coming up Tuesday at X period, we are hosting or helping with the recreational fields groundbreaking, and it's just kind of a time to invite the students to come out there and see what they're going to be getting with the recreational fields. And so that's going to be at the new site, which is right behind the hyper and the physical plant. It's like that space right back there. So if y'all would like to come, that's next Tuesday at X period. Also, if you haven't noticed, the new Student Center furniture is downstairs in the lounge, and we're very, very excited about that. And a big thank you to Mr. Hank Phelps with helping make that a reality, and of course the Board of Trustees and Chairman Reynolds for giving us that opportunity to provide that for the students. And on that note, we are still underway with the amphitheater updates and updates in the SGA office to make sure we're providing for the students. And then finally, we're just working really hard to finish the year out strong and to accomplish those last-minute goals that we have. So, thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Stephanie. A few announcements for Staff Senate. We are also doing elections, senator elections, and you can still nominate yourself or someone else through tomorrow. So be sure to nominate anyone who may be interested in getting involved in Staff Senate. Then we will have senator elections April 22nd through April 24th. So all staff will be emailed a link where you can go to vote for senators who will be representing you. Along with that vote, we are going to do a vote for our updated Constitution. So please take the time to do that. We need more, at least half of you to approve the changes in the Constitution for it to pass. So look for that email and take just a few minutes to vote and approve the Constitution or not approve it. We also have results from the concealed carry questionnaire that we sent out. We're working on compiling those and getting those organized in a fashion to email them out to you, so you will see all of the feedback that we received from that questionnaire. We also will be sending out another questionnaire from the Staff Senate Compensation Committee. They are already working on the information that we will use for our proposal for next year. So look for that next week, an email from Staff Senate about the staff compensation survey. So take the time to answer that too, please, so we can hear your voice as we're making the proposal for next year. And we have, of course, the spring picnic coming up April 30th. Be sure, it's all for faculty and staff. Be sure to bring your ID. We're not doing tickets this year. We're going to use your Bear card. So everyone bring your Bear card, we'll swipe it, and we'll have a good time. Thanks to the President's Office for providing the food. And we will have games, so bring quarters. We're going to use the money to help with the emergency fund and staff scholarship funds that we have. And we also need volunteers for the upcoming commencements. There are 3 commencement ceremonies, and we are looking for staff and faculty volunteers. So if you're interested in that, give us an email. I think Debbie, I don't know that she's here, but email us and we will get you plugged into one of the ceremonies. And we recently, if you have a question or comment for Staff Senate, we have a contact form on our website. It's just uca.edu/Staff Senate. And we recently got a submission asking the question if the submissions are anonymous, and we do have that we require your name and email so that we can get back to you. But if you do not put your name, then it is anonymous, but we don't know how to get back to you on the answer to the question, other than we typically talk about these things in Staff Senate, so you can look for answers in the Staff Senate minutes if you have a question about that. So that's all from Staff Senate. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Tonight, UCA Theater presents the opening of the smash rock musical Spring Awakening. We play tonight, tomorrow night, and next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 7:30, Bridges Larson Theater, Snow Fine Arts. It is, by turns, disturbing, moving, and beautiful. And you should come and see what our students are up to and how talented and how dedicated they are. I think this is my last one of these. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Well, I would have to tell you a couple things. We have had our elections also. We have 7 new faculty senate members coming on in early May. And we are also, I also want to tell you that we're working with the many comments that we've received from the strategic planning forums and the strategic planning committee. And today, as we speak, the president and others know something about having to be 2 places at once and having to make a choice. Today, and Stephanie, today, and Spencer, today in the Strategic Budget Advisory Committee, that committee is looking over the input from the forums that relate specifically to budgeting. Anyway, since this is my last trip up here, I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody that I've been working with all year, the executive staff of this university, and the entire administration of this university. I really appreciate your dedication and your energy. I particularly appreciate President Courtway and Provost Runge. They've been great partners for us and great leaders for this university over the course of the year. Stephanie and Spencer, wonderful leaders of respectively the staff, the Senate, and the Student Government Association. It's been a real honor working with you. And the Faculty Senate, a group of faculty members who have spent many hours and many tears and many busted eardrums on occasion, right? Fighting for what's best for the university, and of course also fighting for the interests of the faculty. And finally, to the faculty itself as a whole, paraphrase and echo a remark made by a colleague of mine just a few weeks ago. I came here because I needed a job, but I've stayed because of the personal and professional excellence of this faculty. There's one thing that has stayed constant through everything that I've seen in the last 10 years at this university, and that is the excellence of instruction in those classrooms, the dedication of this faculty to the learning experience of the students here. And we have as good a teaching faculty as you can find anywhere, and I really believe that. And so, farewell. Thank you.
I guess I want to start out by echoing what Dr. Brown just said about several things. First of all, about the faculty and about their dedication to the students that go to school here. That's why we're here. And because of what they do each and every day, I echo those remarks, and I think they're on point. The other thing I want to say that I agree with what he said was his thanks and appreciation to Spencer and to Stephanie. And then also I'll say to Dr. Brown, we meet every other Monday morning at 8 o'clock, the four of us. And we've done that the whole academic year. And I can assure you that the meetings are productive, they're fruitful. Sometimes they are a candid exchange every now and then. But what it does, it lets each group on the campus know sort of what the other one's working on, number one. Number two, sort of what's on their mind, what may be coming down the road. And then number three, the thing that's the greatest benefit, I believe, to the university is it takes away some of the mystique and sort of questions about what's going on either at the faculty level or at the student government level or the staff senate level. So those meetings, and selfishly, and this is what I said the other day with I think it might have been our last one, maybe it didn't, maybe we have one more. Selfishly to me, it helps me find out what's on their mind, and I found it to be very, very beneficial to me. So I appreciate that, and I want to echo what Dr. Brown said on those 2 points in particular. And then I'll move to the questions and do the easiest ones first. I think there are 5 questions. The first one, and I'll read it because I'm not sure when it was sent in. It really doesn't matter. I think I understand where the questioner, and all these are anonymous, so it really doesn't matter where they were or they weren't. First question is, why do we need an executive assistant to the president who will focus on advancement and government relations when we have a vice president of advancement and a vice president of government relations? So will the 2 VPs just sit around with nothing to do while they draw large salaries, or will the new executive assistant sit and do nothing while drawing, in the words obscenely, large salary? And I don't know, I guess that flows into all the other controversy that I've tried to deal with as best I could. Let me just address this question in the following manner. And I don't know whether the question goes to the fact that the 2 individuals, one of whom is sitting in the room and is doing what I consider to be a very, very good job for the students and the faculty and the staff of this institution. I don't know whether it goes to whether I hired these 2 people without a search, or whether it goes to the fact that some people feel like the positions did not need to be filled, although they had been filled by previous administrations, or whether there's some other question that's at work here. But here's my answer. There are a few decisions that I get to make, that I alone make, that I don't believe, as the chief executive of the institution, and I think I've been very candid and forthcoming, that I should make. And when it comes to particularly these 2 types of positions, I felt like that I was well within my rights to make them. I understand that in some quarters of the campus, there may be people that disagree with that vehemently. While I respect that decision, I still have to make it. And I've made it, and I believe that the people that I've hired to do these tasks are ones that will assist this university as we move ahead. I think they will provide valuable service, and I think time will prove that. I think by and large, and I've said this repeatedly, for the lion's share, the vast majority of the jobs on this campus, searches are necessary. But I will also say this, some people sitting in this room may have gotten a job on this campus without a search. Okay? These aren't the only 2 non-searches that have ever been performed in the 10 or 11 years that I've worked at UCA. What I also was very candid about with the Faculty Senate this week, what was it this week? What week was it? I've lost track of it. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought sometimes I lose track of time. What I was very candid about was, and I feel strongly about this, is I've got a lot of faults, but I'm not fundamentally a liar. I'm not going to be dishonest. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to form a committee for a job that I think I get to fill and then shut the door and tell the committee, here's who you're going to pick. So you do whatever, you put postage stamps on things and you run ads or whatever, but here's the person you're going to hire. I feel like that is not a good use of time of people on this campus, and that I feel like that if someone does apply for one of those positions and minds are already made up, I don't feel like that's fair. So for those two positions, I did what I felt like I had to do. I respect those who disagree with me. It's like I said before the Faculty Senate, and I respect that body greatly. But I'm not going to run and hide. I'm going to stand up and explain my reasons. I'm going to appear and state my case on the record. And while we may disagree, I understand that. But like I said when I started, there are a few things that I think I, as the executive of the institution, get to make. I was also questioned about budget matters, salaries, et cetera, and I believe that document, and also made the statement that I was not going to have a hand in preparing that so that no one could accuse me of doing anything, you know, by sleight of hand or whatever, and I hope that is prepared by the end of the day. I know the media has been asking for it, and I'll try to get with Terry Canino when I get through here and see where we are on that, but I hope that is, and when it is, I'll release it to the media, and I'll be more than happy to do that. Does anyone have any questions on that before I move on? What I would ask, what I would really ask, and I would hope that, and this is the same for any person that may come to work for this institution, whether it's in an academic department or an administrative department, at any time, do not, please, prejudge that person. Give them the benefit to prove to you and your colleagues that they have worth, that they care about UCA, that they are committed to this institution, and that they're going to work in the best interest of UCA as we move forward. That would be my plea, and I really believe that, and I think everyone in this room, and I think everyone that works here feels that way. You would want and expect that same courtesy to be extended to you. So simply because you may be mad at me, I understand that, don't take it out on them, whoever he or she may be. And just because you may be upset sometime at a colleague over a hiring decision or something else that goes on, whoever it is, please don't take your whatever you feel out on that person. Give them a chance to prove their worth. And I believe that that will serve us well as we move ahead. The second question is about supervisory training, and it's I don't have my glasses, but I think it says now that we've had supervisory training, when will support staff training begin? It's our understanding that it would go hand in hand. The training series for supervisors was great, and it was a first step, but it would be most beneficial if support staff would also receive some guidance. Topics could include evaluations, work ethic, punctuality, confidentiality, teamwork, positive attitudes, jobs versus career. I think that's an excellent question. Graham Gillis is not here. He's at a seminar at DeGray Lake. I will get with him. I would assume that we're going to do some support staff training at some point. Mr. Williams assures me it's in the works, that Charlotte Strickland is working on that. You know, it's a lot of these training sessions, the police have done some on disaster preparedness, building emergency management. Sometimes we get in these things and our eyes glaze over and we say, oh Lord, why am I here? I could be doing something better. And training exercises, by and large, and I feel the same way a lot of times, but training exercises are valuable when the time comes. Because if you haven't trained, you don't know what to do, and if you have trained, at least, even if you only remember 20% of what you learned, it's beneficial. So we do that for that reason, and I think those training sessions have worked very well. The next question is about Alumni Circle. And it says, I heard there is currently a plan to transform Alumni Circle into a memorial highlighting UCA's history. Could you elaborate on the plan? A few years ago, and we had to go round and round on this about right after the first of the year, there was a plan developed for Alumni Circle. And I believe there was a gentleman hired, Andrew Lecter or something was his name, and he developed this design, very comprehensive design for the Alumni Drive and then the Circle area. The Board of Trustees set aside, I believe at that time, and I think it was 2007, $750,000 with $250,000 of that amount allocated to the Alumni Drive area, and then the other $500,000 to the Circle area. As you recall, those of you who worked here at that time, the Alumni Drive area project was completed. Okay, with the Circle and all the other things that were changed around there. And I think the actual expenditure of funds was somewhere in the neighborhood of $266,000. I've got the numbers on my desk back at the office, which left the remaining amount for Alumni Circle. I believe at that time his design was then costed out, and it was far in excess of what the budget amount was available, maybe double at that time. So it's been put on hold since then. I think, and I've got to go back and check, maybe some of those funds have been put in reserve or somewhere else, but nothing else has been done. There's never been, as we stand here today, there's never been another set of plans drawn, nor have there been, as I understand it, any other persons commissioned or asked to develop plans and drawings for Alumni Circle. So that's sort of where we are on that. It's one of those projects that sooner or later we've either got to decide we're going to leave it as is for the foreseeable future, or we're going to get another design and try to bring the cost down for that project. I don't know. I mean, I know some decisions I make are somewhat controversial. I'm not sure how it would go over if we spent $1 million on Alumni Circle right now. I don't know if I want to go that this summer. But I think it's a discussion that has to occur. The next question, there are two more, is, and this is very short, will the physical plant be relocated anytime soon? I don't know. I will say this. If you look at the campus as a whole, and this is my opinion, I'm not speaking, let me make it clear since this is all on tape, I'm not speaking based on any inside knowledge or any, and Dr. Brown and Ms. McRae and no one from SGA was at the retreat. We didn't really talk about this. So my answer is not based on anything that I've gleaned or gained from conversations with any member of the Board of Trustees, either past or current. So what I'm about to say, I want to make that clear. But in my opinion, that sooner or later, for the long-term best interest of the institution, that whole operation's got to move somewhere. Where is a good question. But it's basically in the way. It is a, and this is the dilemma, it is a very, very critical function to what we do every day. I mean, if the lights don't work and the toilets and the showers don't work and everything else doesn't work properly, and everything else that goes on, it's bad. But where it sits in 1960s was okay. Where it sits in 2013 is not okay. So it's got to move. The only suspects, as I can see on the horizon, the only suspects locations would be if we wanted to, and I'll get to that's part of the next question. If we wanted to take the site of the 12 acres where the Greek Village was supposed to go, on the corner of Dave Ward and Ferris Road, that would be a possibility if it wouldn't impact or affect the Gilmore Nature Reserve. That's my possibility number one. Possibility number two would be if we could ever acquire the 6 acres that are owned by the Urbach family adjacent to the softball field, that might be a possibility. However, the back portion of that, Dean Potter and Dr. Brown and others, rightfully so, have their eyes set on that for a possible fine arts complex at some future date. So then could you put the physical plant on the front part of that property if we could acquire the 6 acres and do something with that? So, and I'm not doing them in any particular order, so don't leave the room saying, oh, well, this idiot stood up there and said it's going to go down on the corner of Dave Ward and Ferris. I'm not saying that. I'm just going down the list of the suspects. I don't believe, so those are 2 suspects, potentially. I don't believe any of the land between Bruce Street and College Avenue is a suspect. Why? Because it ought to be the academic corridor on the master plan at some future date, And I also don't believe that Donaghy is an appropriate place down that way as we go down that far down Donaghy for a physical plant location. What would be another possibility? Well, there was some land across Dave Ward Drive that the Moix family owned that's between the creek and Bear Village, but I'm not sure that tract A is large enough. B, I think it's already been acquired by a third party, and I'm not sure. I think Gene Salter owned it, and I think he said it had about 8 acres. I think that might have been large enough to put that over there, but I don't know. If you move it over there, then you have a logistical problem of bringing all the things across Dave Ward. You have that problem as well. And wherever you go, this is the final dot in this whole rambling discourse. Wherever you go, you got to pay for it. So then, of all the, and I love Larry Lawrence and every member of the physical plant to death, but probably the least sexy thing to raise money and spend money on is building the physical plant, when you get right down to it. I mean, people can get jazzed up about a fine arts building, they can get jazzed up about a science building, or whatever. If you go around and say, we need to raise money for a physical plant, they'll go, okay, good. That's what you do. But we first have to identify the available square footage of dirt, and then would have to do that. That's my thought process on that whole thing. Fundamentally, long term, I think for the next 50 years for UCA, at some point that whole operation's got to move somewhere. I really believe that. What we could do is move the bulk of it somewhere else and leave a smaller operation right where it is. That's another possibility. We could shrink the footprint of where it is now, leave some of the administrative offices and stuff there, and then move the bulk of it somewhere else. Okay, the last question, and this is a good one. I'm sure Ronnie Williams will love this. Current progress on Great Village. Okay, here's what I'll tell you. I'll try to start from square one. Dr. Metters at that time decided that the location, about 12 acres on the southwest corner of the campus, would be the most suitable location for Great Village. A sign is erected there. Since that time, it sort of languished around, and then about a year ago, I decided that for once and for all, we were going to study in a comprehensive basis to see what the possibilities were for a Great Village on this campus. An architectural consultant, Carradine and Associates, was retained. As part of that process, some consultants were brought in and the whole team, in my opinion, has done a very good job. They have gone through and done focus groups with the fraternities and sororities. They've talked to our housing people. They've talked to many people on this campus, and they are in the process of putting together a final work product. As part of that product, they also have developed almost a letter of intent to see and to gauge the interest of fraternities and sororities. If we did this, will you commit to bed space? Okay? So that process has been ongoing, and it should be completed in the next 30 days, Ronnie, right? About 30 days. At that time, and they made a very brief presentation to the Board of Trustees at Mather Lodge on Petty Jean on March the 21st. Went through very quickly some pro forma financials, what it would look like, and those types of things, and then what the village concept would look like. Obviously, if the board ultimately decided to build it, and it's clearly, this is going to be so out in the open, and it ought to be. But I mean, this thing is going to evolve. But my goal is to at some point squarely present to the Board of Trustees of the university, once and for all, let's decide, are we going to do a Great Village or not? And let's talk about it. What I don't want to have happen is what's happened is I view over the last 12 to 15 years is we'll talk about it for a year and then we'll forget about it. We'll bring it up 2 years later and let's talk about it, then we'll forget about it. Let's push it to a decision point. And if the decision is we do not believe for financial reasons or whatever we can't make it work, then okay, let's look it in the eye and say, okay, we couldn't do it. But if we can do it, let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to do it. But one thing that troubles me about the current location or proposed location is the initial cost to do the infrastructure at that location. We haven't gotten, and part of what they're doing is they're going to give us what they believe is a very good estimate of what it would cost to put in. I mean, really, this is nothing but a subdivision. If you look at it, it's streets, curb and gutter, all the utilities, storm drains, water, sewer, cable TV, that's all it is. If it's $5 million or $4 million to put that in down there, that's $4 million that we've spent only to bring the development up to the ground, and we still hadn't put a brick on it. So the initial infrastructure costs at that location could be a very high number, in my opinion. We don't know. That's one of the things we're going to find out. If that's so, and if we want to try to do it, then the board may want, and we may want to look at another location. Years ago, it was Western Avenue, okay, between Bruce and College. Because of the master plan and other things about the academic corridor, that may not be viable, and it should not be viable. But what then may happen is Augusta and or Donaghy may be viable, because you don't have the problem on those two streets with water, sewer, electricity, cable TV, so on and so forth. So that's what I consider to be something else that has to be examined in this process for that. I will tell you this. Last Sunday morning at 10:30, I was on the campus of Arkansas State University in Jonesboro. They are building 5 sorority houses. I toured one of them. They're going to be open in August for move-in. Each one of the houses that they're building, and they're on their campus, each house is owned by Arkansas State. Each house has 20 beds. The students that are going to live in those houses are each going to pay room and board rates to the university at I believe, a single room rate. And then the remaining members of the sorority are going to pay what's called a parlor fee, which is just a fee that they pay every month to belong to the sorority. The houses, and we're going to get the pro formas to show the cash flow and all that. My understanding is each house is about $1.2 million, maybe a little more. They're about 8,000 square feet. They're 2-story, and on the back there is a chapter room that will hold for a meeting 120 members. They are very impressive, in my opinion. Then, as I was driving from Jonesboro to Corning, Arkansas, when there's not a lot between Jonesboro and Corning, so you have a lot of time to think. After I left Arkansas State, I started thinking, 4 or 5 sorority houses along Donaghy from the corner of College and Donaghy back toward UCA would really dress that part of town up if we could, this is me thinking, again, this is rambling. But, that's another option to look at. And so and what they did, and this is one thing that Mr. Williams' hair's losing a little bit of it. What they did is they came down here and met with him and his staff about 2 years ago and talked about a Greek Village concept, and then took that concept and went back up there and did it. So they're doing what we've been talking about for 12 years. And I'm not saying we should do it or shouldn't do it, but what I am saying is my only goal when it came to Greek Village while I was, for this next couple of years, was to get a decision made, to present all the facts and all the analysis that we could possibly get, present that data, those studies and those commitments, if you will, to the board, and let the board decide. That's on the sorority side. The fraternity side, we probably have 3 fraternities, as I understand it, who probably could either have the wherewithal on hand or could raise it from their alumni base to construct their own house. Some of the other fraternities may not have that. And then we have we have some smaller chapters, not only sororities and fraternities that at some point we may need some form of a common chapter house or something where they could have meetings and social functions. But what Jonesboro already had some fraternity houses on their campus. As I understand it, they had no sorority houses, and so they felt like that the sorority houses, by building those, that would sort of give them a toehold to really get going. The amazing thing about what the VP for Student Services, who was my tour guide that day, by the way, on a Sunday morning, told me is that several of those sororities have almost doubled their membership just by virtue of the fact that they now are going to have an identifiable designated house. I say all of this to say I wasn't Greek. I don't really know that much about it. I've probably exhausted my whole vocabulary on Greek life in this presentation. But what I do know, in the whole history of the courtways, from whenever we started to today, there's only been one. And that's my son Brad, and I almost made him pull out of being a Kappa Sig because he tried to be everything too soon. But I do know this. I think that these entities and organizations should improve retention. I think they will recruit students to our campus. May not, but I also want to see if the board wants to do it. Obviously, financing is a question. You'd have to make them work financially from a cash flow basis. And I don't know. We're going to see. What we're going to do is get all the information, all the data, present it to the board, and we're going to have a discussion. And I think Dr. Brown and Ms. McBrayer can tell you after the board retreat, and for those of you who were at the budget workshop last week, we're at a point where our 7 members of our board are not going to be bashful. Not that they ever were, but this particular group they got a little. They were asking some hard questions last Friday afternoon about some things, and they should, and they did. So we'll have, I'm sure, a spirited debate on Great Village at some point when we get all that put together. Anything else? Does anyone have a question? I've covered all the questions. The budget will be put together and we are looking at a cost of living adjustment for faculty and staff. The amount is still undetermined. There's several things we're having to go through to try to see where we're going to end up on that. This is sort of the horns of the great dilemma. You want to hold down the cost of attendance as low as you can. Be very mindful of the fact that who our customers are and what they have to pay to go to school here. But at the same time, we want to be fair and want to adequately compensate and make sure that we retain the faculty and the staff. We don't want to lose qualified men and women who teach and work here. So that's always our challenge. And you know, it's been basically flat state money for the last 5 years. And while that's not good, when you compare us to the 49 other states, we're pretty blessed. We're pretty well off. We never have gotten a whole lot, but we ain't ever lost a whole lot either. Once we got it, we could always count on it. So in budgeting, that's really the most important thing, is what you try to do is take out the peaks and the valleys. And so we're looking at that very hard. It'll be out in probably 10 days. I'll have all the particulars put together on the diversity matter and how I'm going to address that or propose to address that to the board. And I'll have that written down. And as soon as I make that recommendation, I want to talk to the chair of the board and a few others. But certainly soon before the board meeting, the campus will be well aware of that. So, and I'll probably have a meeting with Dr. Brown and Ms. McBrayer and Ms. Sims to go over that. So there won't be any surprises on that, and you'll see that. So anything else? I'll be happy to answer any questions. The picnic is on the 30th. Okay, we're going to have and it's all privately raised. It's not No monkey business, no goofy stuff. It's former Senator Baker and myself have made a couple phone calls, or a few, and people. Let me just say this: when it came to this, and I made two in 5 minutes, and either he's lying to me or whatever. He said he's made a couple, and he better have. When I called people and said I need $1,000 to help pay for the faculty staff picnic at UCA, they said, "Tell me where to send a check." So the community supports this institution, and you know, we've got a lot to be proud of, and we've come a long way in 5 years financially, and I think you'll see that at the end of this fiscal year. So, you know, maybe the world's not completely perfect, and it's never going to be, but we've come out of a fairly sizable hole, and we're in good financial shape. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the students. The video, I'd give anything if the whole world could see that, about what our students are doing in every college that we have on this campus. So, all right, this is your last shot at me till August or September. And I'm, you know, or unless you want to come over there and shoot at me by yourself. I think we've had a good semester. I think we've had a good year. And let me just say this about all the three presidents, and in particular Dr. Brown. It's like I told the Faculty Senate Tuesday, not last Tuesday. Tuesday is sometimes we've had our disagreements, but never once, never for a second, did I think that anyone did not approach something, whether it was a criticism of me or a question of me, did I think that anyone approached that topic with any malice in their heart or ill will toward necessarily me, and certainly not toward this institution or its students. I felt like that while they may disagree with me or disagree with the decision I made, they care deeply about UCA and the students that go to school here. As long as I'm convinced of that, we're going to be okay. Won't be a problem. We're not always going to get along, but as long as I feel like, and I think that each of us feel like, that we're coming to work each day and striving to do the best we can for the Spencer Simses of the world, UCA is going to be okay. So I appreciate you for that very much. So let's have a good picnic. Let's make A Spencer. And by the way, and I'll probably violate FERPA when I say this, and if I do, just arrest me. Spencer is going to go to law school at Fayetteville in the fall, and I think she got admitted before they ever had her application. That's how much they thought of her. So congratulations to you, and thank you for what you've done. That's all I have. And everybody be sure to get a ticket to Dr. Brown's play. Okay, thanks.